The U.S. Open 2023, some exciting results yesterday. Let's start with the women. Not surprisingly, Goff defeated Ostapenko 6-0, 6-2. That was surprising that it was that quick, but Ostapenko really had to recover from a very late night the other day, beating the number one player in the world, and I don't think she fully recovered. And I always felt that Goff was going to win that, possibly in a close match. The bottom line with Goff is that if she were to win this championship this year, and she has a really good opportunity, it's going to be about her managing her nerves and emotions. She was very solid, and she's into the semis. You know, I had the opportunity to work with her for a couple years where they'd come out when she was 12, 13, 14, 15. It might have been just maybe at the start of 13 years old, and got to know Corey and Candy, her parents, and watched how committed they were, and obviously how talented Goff was. I remember going to the USTA and saying, this gal's the real deal. She's very determined. And, you know, when she lost in the first round at Wimbledon, I said at that point, I see greatness in her, in a lot of her game. She's not far off. And having a new voice come in like Brad Gilbert, who's a smart guy, doesn't quite deserve all the credit that they're giving him on TV. But I have known Brad since he was 12 years old, 13 years old, from Northern California. As I said, smart guy. I give him a lot of credit. He's guiding the ship and doing a really good job. But Goff is going to win Grand Slams no matter what. It's just a matter of time. Will she win this one? She's got a long ways to go, just like anybody in the semis, because you know, she's going to be playing some really high-end people here. And this gal she's playing, Muchova, who beat Kristika, let me tell you, this girl is big time. She's got great talent, probably the most complete game of anyone on the women's side. She can do everything. Not a great server, but a very good server. Moves really well. Big forehand, great variety on the backhand side, beautiful slice, touch, excellent volleyer. She can do everything. She is really dangerous, and that is going to be a tough out for Goff. There is no guarantees yet. Goff will get there and win a Grand Slam. It's still up in the air. You have on the other side, I spoke about yesterday, Keys versus Vonderosa. Vonderosa, Wimbledon champion. Keys is playing as well as anyone. And people may be surprised to hear this, but Keys is the hardest hitting player on the women's tour, bar none. And even more so than Sabalenka. And she's been ready to win a Grand Slam for years. She lost in the finals to another student of mine, Sloane Stevens, in 2017, but the Keys has always had to manage her emotions. If she does, she wins this match comfortably, and then she would probably play Sabalenka, who plays Zhang, and in my opinion, right now, Sabalenka, given her experience, given the fact she's the number one player in the world, and she's looking confident, is still the person to beat. Obviously, my heart goes out to the two Americans that I would love to see either one of them win. In particular, Goff, because I've really known them from a young age, and I see the amazing commitment and dedication of the family. And I have a soft spot for that, and she's a wonderful person. So is Keys, but I'm just excited for Goff. And and let's see how it goes. On the women's side, that's about all I have to say. For the men, gosh, I sat down and watched Shelton. I had not really seen much of him. I've known his father since it's been about 40 years. Great guy, was a top 50 ATP player, and he coached his son at the University of Florida. Now, there's a guy that should be getting more credit for this. I watched Shelton when he was like 16, 17, and I have to tell you honestly, I wasn't that impressed. He was strong and athletic, but his game really wasn't refined, and needless to say, he's improved an extraordinary amount. But more importantly than this is a guy, and I've hesitated to say that the American men are going to win Grand Slams. And that's not a knock on any of them, because I really like Fritz. I actually known his dad, Guy Fritz, for, 50 years at least. And also, I've known Kathy May, his mother, for a lot of years. Not very well, but I knew her through the juniors. So I'd love to see Fritz win a Grand Slam. He's not there yet, and he's going to have to become more athletic in order to win, and he's going to have to become a better all-around player. So I've gotten a little ahead of myself, but Shelton Tiafoe, after watching Shelton closely, he's got the self-confidence, he's got the sense of emotional, really stability as an athlete, and he is ready for prime time in that I believe he will win Grand Slams, and I believe he can win multiple Grand Slams. I do not believe he's going to win the U.S. Open this year, but at some point, I believe he will. He was far more solid off the ground than I thought he would be. His serve is obviously tremendous. He's going to have to continue to become, a better, more complete player. And Tiafoe is really outstanding, but I don't think he's quite there to win a Grand Slam yet. Really outstanding, would love to see it, but right now, I think he's one notch below the best of the best. So Shelton, look out for him in the future. He's got to play the man, Djokovic, who, as I'd predicted, defeated Fritz pretty comfortably. Djokovic is simply too solid, and I believe that's what's going to happen when he plays Shelton. Shelton's talented, but for these young Americans, they're going to see the brilliance of Djokovic in that high percentage yet aggressive tennis. Djokovic can do everything and do everything well, and he's going to make you play point after point. Unless Djokovic breaks down mentally, which I don't anticipate, you're going to see him in the finals. And he will play, as I was talking about before, the guy who I feel is the favorite, which is Alcaraz. However, this guy Zverev is a threat, because the way you beat Alcaraz is you have to either play a ridiculously phenomenal match, or you have to be able to have so much power that you can push him around and dominate and shorten the points so that Alcaraz can't use his brilliance of various shot selections and drop shots and so on. Alcaraz, I think, is going to beat Zverev, but this is one heck of a match. Zverev is 6'6", powerful serve, big groundies, great on the backhand side. As I said earlier, tremendous how well he was hitting his forehand. However, Alcaraz is going to hurt him with the drop shot and his variety. I'm picking Alcaraz. Medvedev and Rublev. I think Medvedev is the second most likely guy to win this tournament behind Alcaraz. The fact that they're going to play in the semis, because I'm predicting Medvedev over Rublev. And I had the opportunity to be on the court with Rublev years ago. The agents brought him out, and I watched him play and then spent a couple hours with him on the court. Talented young man, very nice young man, and a really outstanding player. But I just don't think he has enough game to win a Grand Slam at this point. I've recommended that he make an adjustment on his return to serve because he doesn't quite return as well as he needs to. I think if you watch closely, he holds his left hand on the throat of the racket on the return to serve. And so on a backhand return, he has to slide his left hand down in order to hit a two-hander. And people will say, well, Nadal does that. Yes, but Nadal would stand 20 to 30 feet behind the baseline to hit a return, and he loves to play neutralizing defensive tennis on the return, and then, Nadal would become Nadal and hit these amazing ground strokes. But Rublev likes to take the ball early. He has to. He's not that amazing in the movement or power department, even though he likes to rip his forehand. So if he can take the ball early on the backhand side, it becomes problematic. And I think he's not quite there. And so, that's about it for him. I think Medvedev moves on. Obviously, on all of these, I could be wrong. I have great respect for all of the players. And in closing, I just wanted to say one thing about Sinner. I like Sinner a lot. I was in Italy a few months ago, and I was actually speaking to like 2,600 coaches at a coaching convention. And I was asked by the Italian Tennis Federation my thoughts. And I said, he's got a ways to go. And contrary to what was announced on TV, that he's really close, he's not there yet. In my opinion, he doesn't serve well enough. I don't like what he's done with his serve. If you watch very closely in Sinner and go watch the video, you will see that he doesn't serve well out wide on the ad court. I could get into the technical component, but he doesn't do what's called shoulder over shoulder enough. He's not getting enough rotation. I don't like where he winds up with his feet. He's not as organized and as precise in his loading process as he needs to be. And he's going to need to take a page out of the Djokovic version of serving, because he's not that powerful in that he's not going to serve 135 miles an hour like, say, a Ben Shelton. And he's got to be precise, accurate, disguised, consistent on his serve. And he is not there. The other thing is, he's fist pumping in the first and second game. That's just not right. There needs to be, he gets two up. He's two up and down. He gives away a lot of sets. If you watch, he's always playing close 5-set matches. And much of the time, he shouldn't even be in a fifth set. So I think Sinner mentally, emotionally needs to get better and more confidence. He needs to improve his serve. He needs to be a better volleyer. He needs more variety. He's got power off the ground. Very impressed with his backhand, more so than his forehand. And hopefully one day he wins a Grand Slam. As somebody with I'm Italian American, and from both sides of my family, and so I have a little soft spot for Sinner, but he's got a ways to go. But it's going to be really interesting seeing the change of guard. I'm very impressed and very excited for the Shelton family, because I really feel he is the first young American in a while that I feel is the real deal. and I do think he's going to win some Grand Slams. That's an awful lot of talking, but I thought you might find it interesting, some inside baseball, so to speak, on, these players. Great U.S. Open. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching all the matches as much as I can in between teaching here at the Academy, and I hope you enjoyed it. All the best, Nick Saviano.